Sophie, till late in the third quarter, you guys were struggling offensively in that frame. Second half in general didn't feel the same as the first half on that end. Did something change for you guys? What did you see as kind of leading to stalling on that end?
Yeah, I think we were just kind of slow. And every time that we're slow, especially defensively, it just somehow affects our...
In one night, how can a team blow a 13-point lead and cause an internal crisis? Coach Stephanie White criticized a stagnant offense for the Indiana Fever's dismal loss against one of the league's poorest clubs. Her players, however, told a different tale. In her frank post-game remarks, Sophie Cunningham exposed a squad that had lost its edge, its identity, and its fight. Was more than just a defeat. They lost the game as a result of a single perplexing coaching choice that revealed a significant disconnect between the players' best efforts and the leadership's decision-making.
Overhead is Cunningham with a steal. Cunningham feeds Sims, who goes coast to coast and lays it in. So
they had to make sure they had the right shot clock time as well while they were reviewing that.
So Indiana with a 10-point lead here. 6 minutes until halftime as Boston finds some space and knocks it down. Now Sims launches ahead for Mitchell. What a pass by Odyssey Sims.
It's up to the chat. Get excited. Why at the same time? Because I'm you and you're me. We switch bodies. It's up in the chat.
It appeared to be a night for Indiana for a while. They had complete control in the first half, establishing an almost insurmountable 13-point lead. Eli Boston finished with authority and demanded double teams, making him a formidable force in the paint. Kelsey Mitchell did more than just score goals. She really was a playmaker, analyzing the Mystics' defense and precisely positioning her teammates. The Fever were playing with the swagger you would anticipate from a club vying for a postseason berth. The ball was moving, and the defense was engaged. As they cruised, they resembled a better team in every regard and silenced the away crowd. Beneath the surface of that commanding performance, however, a disastrous breakdown was simmering, poised to blow everything apart in an instant.
The Buckeyes.
Here is the Buckeye product on a backdoor pass, but Mitchell lost the handle. Sutton thought about the three, steps in, Hull got a piece. Dolson has been wide open all possession, splashes home a three, and we are level at 47 into Boston. Handoff Mitchell, Indiana has to hurry. Lob back for Boston, Boston finishes. It's a 2-point game, 5.9 seconds remaining.
In a matter of seconds, the floor collapsed beneath them. In addition to erasing the lead, Washington's scorching 22-7 run also took Indiana's will. The self-assured offense abruptly became predictable and stagnant. The combative defense became careless and unfocused. The Mystics were sent to the free throw line an astounding 26 times as the Fever began to commit foul after foul. There appeared to be a turnover or a late rotation foul at the end of every possession. It was not a Washington masterclass. It was a masterclass in destroying oneself. The novices in Washington were twisting the knife, which made the situation worse. Together, Sonia Citron and Kiki Afen scored almost 40 points and exposed every error Indiana made, playing with the poise of seasoned pros. Not only is it a defeat, but it is also an embarrassment to see a young, struggling squad tear apart your lead piece by piece.
With 5 off the bench, Indiana has 8 first-quarter bench points. That's typically been a strength when they're playing well, as Iriafen just bullies her way inside. Now Citron being guarded by Lexi Hull. Hull goes over the screen, defends her really well. Citron just has to fire it up, and a circus shot.
The players on the floor are not to blame for their lack of effort. To bring the team back into it, they battled to the very finish. Refusing to be pushed about inside, Aaliyah Boston finished with a monstrous stat line of 20 points and 9 rebounds. Despite relentless pressure, Kelsey Mitchell gave it her all, scoring 14 points and handing her 9 assists. The team's soulmate, Sophie Cunningham, followed with 8 points, 6 assists, and 3 steals, filling the stat sheet. She created plays that don't always appear in the box score but maintain team spirit because of her contagious zeal. They should have won because of their combined efforts. Why wasn't it, then, who was left sitting on the bench, rather than who was on the court, holds the answer.
Cunningham looking, finds Mitchell, launches a corner three. It won't go. Rebound Ainksler. And this young Washington Mystics group who continues to impress throughout this season. And Sidney Johnson in his first year.
On their ball screen coverages right now.
There's Mitchell on the handoff, bounce pass. Boston one bounce and a left-handed finish. Here's Boston, the offensive rebound, flips inside to Howard, who lays it in.
You go step up screen, flare on the weak side. They had to make sure they had the right shot clock time as well while they were reviewing that.
So Indiana with a 10-point lead here, 6 minutes until halftime as Boston finds some space and knocks it down.
Watching Kelsey Mitchell drive into a crowded paint became a recurring pattern as the offense came to a complete stop. Indiana never looked to one clear solution. With an amazing 42% three-point shooting percentage, Chloe BBY is by far the team's most dangerous three-point shooter. BBY was the ideal weapon in a game where there was no spacing and the offense sorely needed a boost. Her shooting would have spread the floor, forcing Washington's defense to stretch, giving Mitchell more driving lanes and Boston more space to work inside. Rather, she sat on the bench collecting splinters as her team drowned, without seeing a second of action. It aimed straight at the coach and was the most perplexing decision of the evening.
I think we over-dribbled at times. Our off-ball movement wasn't there. We did a lot of standing. It's almost like we gave the ball to Kelsey and just tried to watch her work. And that's not when we're at our best. I mean, yes, certainly we want to have the ball in our hands, but we've got to continue to get movement with and without the basketball. It was getting stuck. I mean, we want to play 0.5 to 1 second basketball, and we weren't. And it's got to get moving.
Many supporters were left perplexed by Coach Stephanie White's reply when she was questioned following the game. She said she worried that Washington's lineups would expose her on defense and on the boards, so she sat out due to defensive mismatch concerns. The smallest examination, however, disproves that justification. Even without BBY playing, the defense was in disarray. In the fourth quarter alone, they were forcing Washington to the line for 14 free throws and allowing wide-open looks. In any case, Kiki Afen dominated the paint. In any case, the defensive issues White was purportedly attempting to avoid materialized. White's admission that the offense was getting stuck was the night's most ironic statement. She refused to apply the most obvious solution she had on hand, despite correctly identifying the issue.
Chloe Bibby tonight, were there thoughts maybe plugging her in to try and spark the offense a little bit, or what was the decision behind not playing her?
Yeah, there were some thoughts. I think that it match up defensively more than anything with the way that we were going to try to play them, or in some of our switches and things like that. So that was mostly the reason.
And then just with the rotation, was it just those eight or seven that you ran with? Was it just they were flowing well and you wanted to just leave that going, or what was the thought there?
Yeah, I think some of it was defense. Being able to execute the type of defensive coverages that we wanted to have against this, the way that they play.
One player was seeking a solution as the instructor was outlining the issues. It was an appeal for responsibility, an acknowledgement that something basic had gone wrong. There was a huge divide between the locker room and the whiteboard when a player discussed heart while the coach discussed strategy.
It hurts. I mean, think we had 8 turnovers for 13 points in the second half as well. So we didn't take care of it.
Indiana with their work cut out for them here. 6-point deficit, just over 5 minutes left to play. Mitchell, feed inside. There's an easy 2 for Boston. Cunningham leans in, thought she'd throw the foul. Boston pulls down the rebound and lays it in.
You must consider who wasn't on the court comprehend the extent of this annoyance. As a playmaker, Mitchell's workload doubled, and there was still more grunt work for Cunningham to complete. Despite having a handicap, they managed to take a 13-point lead. However, reinforces the inexcusable strategic rigidity. You need to be smarter and more innovative, not more predictable, when your roster is overworked.
And I think it was something like a 22-7 run, the end of the second, beginning of the third quarter. And those are hard to recover from when anytime really, but when you're missing pieces. And we've got to make sure that we're sharper at times. We don't have the margin to have lulls within quarters. And then I believe they had something like 21 points from free throw line and turnovers of their 26 in the fourth. And we control that defending without fouling. We control that taking care of the basketball, decision making at times, and some of it's playing some people out of position, and some of it's just not being valuing the basketball in the way that we need to value it, being a little sloppy with it.
Pulleys her way inside.
What a pass by Melvin, too. Really nice.
Mitchell turns on the Jets and gets to the rim.
No one can keep Killard as one of the best rebounders out of her area, which means the ball not directly above her head is Cunningham with a steal.
Cunningham feeds Sims, who goes coast to coast and lays it in. So 4 quick ones for Indiana.
It would be a huge understatement to say that Coach White said the offense was stalled. A player who pushes the defense to spread out must be respected. Additionally, Chloe BBY, unoccupied on the bench. It wasn't just a stuck offense. Coach purposefully strangled it.
I think the thing that we just have to continue to do that kind of got us on the run we had before the last couple games was we were aggressive at the opponent attack on defense, and that led to easy transition buckets. That led to everyone being aggressive and on their front foot on the offensive end. And, we have new players, and that's okay. But, we just have to adjust, and we need them. We've faced a lot of adversity, but we should be used to that by now. And I think they could just kind of outwork this a little bit, and that just can't be our excuse.
Fans are furious about this setback because it seems so familiar. The gamers appear to be receiving post-game explanations instead of the strategic leadership and in-game answers they seek. A vital question is brought up by this loss. Does a talented roster benefit from this leadership, or is it hindering it?
Control the outside things. You can't control injuries, and so that's why you really do have to control your mental and control what you can control. And I think that we have a really good group. We're still a tight-knit group. We're adding new players in that are amazing. O's been around the league for a long time, and I know you don't think so, but it's a blessing that you were on another team because we need you here. And so I just think it's an adjustment period. The highs and lows, you just have to stay kind of steady, right? Every team faces it. I feel like we faced it more than most this year, but I think this is going to set us up for something good. I don't know if it's this season. I don't know if it's next season, but I think there's always something that you can be grateful for and learn during those hard times.
After this game, the gap between the coach and the players was severely exposed. Players feel under pressure to lead themselves not only on the court, but also in establishing the organization's overall culture, which creates a risky void. Internal conflict like that can contaminate a locker room, particularly when a team is already juggling injuries and a close playoff race.
What was the message inside the locker room? What were you guys talking about there after the game?
Yeah, I just think that we've had some hard injuries this year. We've had some different lineups and roster spots. And, to be frank, I don't think anyone else around the league thinks that we can do it anymore. But I think that our group does. And I think that we just have to get that confidence back. When we're clicking offensively, defensively, we're scary. And not a lot of teams can beat us, even with the roster that we have right now. And so for us, it's just remembering who we are. It's our identity. We got to get back to being dogs, got to get back to being aggressive, being on our front foot, and not allowing teams like this to come in here and outwork us.
Let's face it, this defeat was not only humiliating but also expensive. From now on, they have to win every game, and they have to do so with a thin roster and uncertainty around their strategic leadership. They may remember this collapse as the one instance when they made a mistake that ended their season.
Past couple games where it feels like kind of that wear and tear's taking a toll?
Not really. And I think that she kind of hit it. You have to give yourself a little bit of grace. When you have so many different lineups, O and I have never played together. O hasn't played with a lot of people, maybe Tosh. But you have to know her style. She has to know our style. And so it's different, but that's part of being a pro. You got to adjust and you got to learn fast. And I think that's a really cool thing too, because when you click, you click. And so that's scary for people coming in here and trying to play us.
There was more to this setback than a single game. Is a brief lull or an indication of a more serious rift that might ruin their season? We'd like to hear from you now. In your opinion, who bears the real responsibility for this collapse? Was it the players' inability to perform, Stephanie White's coaching, or the injury crisis? Tell us what you think.